Welcome, my name is Jeremy and I have over 20 years of bartending experience, in which I have worked in every kind of bar from hole in the wall to fancy schmancy. I'm creating this content to help the home bartender reach a higher level of mixology and understand the art and science behind it. Today, we are going to make the ever elusive Aviation Cocktail. The Aviation Cocktail. Chances are, if you've searched and found this video, you've been watching the first couple episodes of the first season of The Blacklist. You're probably saying to yourself, is there any way I can get the correct ingredients and make it? Well, yes, you can. First, let's talk about the history of the Aviation Cocktail. The Aviation Cocktail was invented to celebrate the birth of aviation. In other words, after the Wright brothers' first flight. The cocktail has a light bluish color and symbolizes the color of the blue sky and is usually garnished with a lemon peel or a cherry. About 30 years ago, Rothman and Winter, the makers of Creme de Yvette, stopped selling it to the United States. Up until about 10 years ago in the United States, bartenders substituted Creme de Violet with Creme de Yvette, which was close but doesn't exactly have the same taste. Although Creme de Violet is now available in the States, it's still hard to find, especially in states that have state-run liquor stores. So let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so this is the ever-elusive Creme de Violet. Like I said, it's not easy to find in every state. I live in Pennsylvania and we do have state-run liquor stores and it's very hard to find. Talked about the Rothman and Winter. They also have this one. And if you look at the two side by side, one is probably a little lighter in color, but that's not a problem. The taste is still excellent. And this one's actually a product of France where Creme de Yvette was originally made. And although Rothman and Winter were the only people making Creme de Violet for a very, very long time, it's a product of Austria. And it doesn't make it any better or worse. But the bigger difference is this is about $30 and this is about $15. Let's talk about a spirit right here. Here's gin, okay? Now, you've probably never even heard of this gin unless you're from Pennsylvania. Okay, it's made in Pennsylvania, okay? And that's important. As this local distiller, although they're just a small little guy, they can make a product that's almost purely hard. And sometimes at a very affordable price. Some local distillers are more expensive than like even a Grey Goose, and others are less, especially when they're first trying to, be known and stuff. This right here, I think this probably cost me $10 and he's good to go. So you have your Creme de Violet, you have your gin. The other thing you need, this guy right here, maraschino liqueur. It's Lexardo is the brand. It's made in Italy. It's a product of Italy. It's excellent. It's very, very good. But like the Creme de Violet, other people do make maraschino liqueur. This is about $40 to buy. This was about $24. 40, 24. And I tried it myself and I'm telling you right now, you're not gonna be able to taste the difference between this and this. Okay, let's talk tools, all right? So there's several tools that us bartenders use. I'm not gonna go over every single one of them right now, but I'm gonna go over what I think a home bartender would probably have at their house. The first thing you're gonna need is a mixing glass, These are pure spirits in this drink. You do not shake this drink. You do not shake a drink with pure spirits. James Bond can kiss my ass. If you want that, I'll give that to you, but you're not supposed to shake a pure spirit. You're supposed to stir it using a spoon. Now this is a nice fancy spoon. You may not have this, but there's a lot of home bartending kits that do come with it. I'm not telling you to have to run out and get it. You just need something that you can stick in there and stir, all right? Or maybe scoop up a lid. So maybe get a twizzle and maybe a regular spoon. That should work just fine. So you're gonna need a mixing glass. You're gonna need a spoon. You are probably used to seeing these things. Again, we're not gonna need these to these videos, but just a future note, if you are making something that you're gonna shake, you wanna make sure you have one that fits over this, because you're not supposed to shake it in here. I know that looks fancy, but real bartenders shake like this, okay? And then when they're done, they pop it off, and then they use a strainer like this to pour it into whatever they're pouring it into. Now, one thing when we are making a pure spirit is you're supposed to have a slotted spoon, but again, most of those kits don't come with slotted spoons. This will work just fine, okay? The reason we stir a regular spirit is because you don't want to bruise the alcohol. You ever hear that saying for whiskey, don't bruise the brown? That means they don't want you to put chopped up ice in there, so you want full ice cubes in there, full ice cubes in there. All right, so that's my little rant about that. With this particular drink, the gin, okay, if I were talking in ounces, and we're talking about back in the day when they made the Aviation Cocktail, your glass was about like this big, okay? It's not the giant ones we have today, it was about like that. So it would be about an ounce of this, a half ounce of this, and a half ounce of this, and then a splash of lemon juice, okay? So that what that means is whatever you put in, whatever the amount of gin you put in, you're putting half as much of the volume of this and half as much of the volume of this. It does not matter, you could do 3 ounces of this and 1.5 ounces of this and 1.5 ounces of this. You could do 6 ounces of this and 3 ounces of this and 3 ounces of this, as long as you're cutting whatever this measurement is in half by this and this. Now there are several Aviation Cocktail recipes out there that have different ratios. I've messed around with all of them. I wasn't around at the birthplace of aviation, neither were you. There's nobody watching this video that was. Based on old records and stuff, the closest recipe that I could find was the one that I just told you. And it's also, in my opinion, the one that tastes the best. If you put a little too much of this in here, it throws off the taste. You put too much of this in here, it becomes too ginny. You put too much of this in there, it's still good. It will taste like candy. So if you're gonna put more of something in there, maybe this, but don't go crazy. Because like I said, this was the, normally this brand right here, if this is the only brand you can find, $40 for this bottle. So don't go crazy, putting in stuff you don't need to put in there. So that's what we have for tools. Let's get down to mixing. Okay, as you can see, I filled my mixing glass with ice. All right, so this is important because ice, when it comes in contact to alcohol, melts at an accelerated rate. That means it melts faster. So that's why when you go to a bar, they fill your glass up with ice. They're not trying to cheat you, they're trying to keep the drink cold. Plus, if you ask for less ice, it's gonna taste like it has less alcohol in it, because they're gonna put the same amount of alcohol in there. Like say you're getting a rum and Coke, they're gonna put an ounce of rum in there. That's what you get. Every time you get a drink, you get an ounce of rum in there. And if there's less ice in there, then they gotta fill it up more with Coke, which makes it taste like it has less alcohol in it, even though it has the same amount. So we fill it up with ice because the drink will stay colder longer that way, and that's the reason why. And we want this drink to be nice and cold. All right, so we have our thing of ice. We're gonna go for our first ingredient, which is the gin. I'm gonna do 1.5 ounces of the gin. So that'd be a 3 count of this, all right? So 1, 2, 3, there we go. All right. Now this particular liquor, no matter what you get it, it comes with a specific pour that pretty much counts at the same rate as this. Maybe a little bit slower, so maybe a suspended pour. 1, 2, 3. It's about that. All right. I'll scoot this back so you can see it a little bit better. It's all about the presentation. I want it to look good for you guys. All right, so we're gonna cut this lemon in half right here. You only need about half a lemon of juice, okay? Now, if you don't have one of those crazy squeezy things, just take a fork, stick it inside the lemon, and twist the fork. It gets all the lemon juice out. Stir. It's getting nice and cold. A couple pieces of ice fell out. That doesn't really matter as long as the ice doesn't get broken up. All right, because like I said before, this is a pure spirit. Now, obviously, you're gonna be putting this in some kind of martini glass or decorative glass. There are a couple different ways you can do that. I'm gonna pull one of these. At most bars, you're just gonna get a little bit of ice. All right, and while you're making the drink, you're gonna let this chill to the side like that, okay? I didn't do that because I had taken this glass and put it in the freezer. Nice and cold, nice and cold. And that's what we're talking about here. It's gonna be really good. All right, I'm gonna go with this and we're going to pour. Look at that, isn't that a thing of beauty? Boy, that's to the line, man, but I got through it. Perfect amount for the glass that I had. Like I said, back in the day, martini glasses were a lot smaller. Me doing a little bit of practice and knowing the size of my glasses, I was able to pour the perfect amount, and that is right to the brim. Now, if you were chilling glass, see how that's starting to fog up? The amount of time it took me to make that, you'd have a nice chilled glass. The stem might not have been chilled, but and like I said before, you can either take a little bit of lemon peel and put that in there, or a cherry. And when I mean cherries, this drink deserves good cherries. These are Luxardo maraschino cherries. You can also use Italian Amarana cherries. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not quite sure. But you're just gonna take a cherry and you're gonna pop that boy right in there, drain off some of the syrup. The syrup is still really good, just like that. And there you have it. That's the Aviation Cocktail. Man, the only thing there is left to do. Sorry. I know you're jealous right now because maybe you're having trouble finding these ingredients, but I'm going to take a sip of this Aviation Cocktail. That is perfect. You don't taste a hint, not a hint of the gin. And that was the larger ingredients out of these two. Both of these equal the same amount of volume as this. A really good drink should not taste like alcohol. Let me repeat that again. A really good drink should not taste like alcohol. Shouldn't taste like alcohol if it's a mixed drink. If it's a rum and Coke, yeah, it's gonna taste like rum. But take like even a Long Island iced tea that has every white liquor in it. Vodka, gin, triple sec, tequila, and rum, okay? You don't taste any of it in there. It just sort of tastes like lemon, okay? Because it was mixed properly. When you properly mix a drink, it tastes amazing. And let me tell you, this Aviation Cocktail, it tastes amazing. Well, listen, I'm gonna get snookered drinking the rest of this thing, so I'm gonna let you go. Enjoy the rest of your day and happy hunting for the ingredients. If you get a chance to make an Aviation Cocktail, I don't think you'll regret it. It's very refreshing, it's very good, very floral. Like I said, you may have to make some time to get used to it, but man, what a great drink. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.